This time I have a Yamaha CDX1030. This is a high-end single-disc CD player, and we got a sticking drawer on this one. So this one's going to be a belt problem, but this is kind of a little bit of a challenge to get to and let you know where to look. Check it out. This time I have a Yamaha CDX1030 CD player. Let's see what's going on. Very sluggish. Open and close. So, belt. Let's open it up. As you can see, there's a secondary cover that has to come off. It's also screwed down with 6 screws. For what could be a very nice CD player, they still light the display with incandescent bulbs. Here's the disc transport. Ooh, I can feel buzzing on there because I'm not on a grounded chassis. My neutral is not grounded. I'm on a floating supply. Therefore, there's some capacitance coupling from one of these over to the chassis, and I can feel a buzzing on the metal. A little bit of voltage. Get that voltage up. You know, some of these ones, the optical pickup scoots all the way over when you open it. The belt is going to be down here. There may be a hatch on the bottom on this one. Let's just see. To access where the belt is. Ah, yeah, there's a hatch on the bottom here. I wonder if we can get to where the belt is from through here. If there's actually a service hatch here, which there could be. Guess we'll find out pretty quick. I'm not holding my breath because Yamaha are very good at not putting in access panels. Although the bottom might come off this one completely too. I see a separate sub chassis. So the bottom may actually come right off this. What's in here? Is there a... Okay, that's just the access, the motor. Where is the belt? The belt is under here, but I think this whole bottom plate might come off, and there might be access here. So let's turn it over and remove the bottom. What the heck? Do these feet have to come out too? These feet might have to come out. They do. So the belt is accessible through here. This is it here. This is going to be the one that is slipping. There's the old belt. Now I just got to find a new one that's a little bit smaller. Of course, ultimately you don't want to take this mechanism out if you don't have to. But this is quite awkward to get in here. I might be able to I might be able to fish this new belt over top of the pulley. It's a little bit smaller than the other one, so hopefully it's going to work. Okay, I got the belt across the other side of the motor. Now if I can just get it onto the pulley here. Okay, I got the belt looped around the motor, and now just have to get it pulled up onto the groove on the pulley on the actual motor itself. I've got it around the base pulley here. It's just that it slipped off the motor, so I just got to try to fish it up there without knocking it off. That's the hard part. Get it onto the motor without it falling off, or we're back to square one. Okay, I've got it. Okay, let's try it. It's got a fair bit of torque on it now. Put the bottom on it and we'll test it out. This steel plate probably weighs around 5 pounds. It's quite the system. The reason it weighs what it does is to stop the CD player from resonating. My Sony ES player is just like this. This one probably weighs about 15 kilos, 25 pounds, maybe 25, 30 pounds. Between 10 and 15 kilos, I would think. It's heavy. Like even these feet, these are metal. They weigh, I don't know, between the four of them, it's probably 2 pounds. All in an effort to stop vibrations from the speakers causing vibrations internally that could possibly make the disc skip. As you guys saw, this one has a linear motor for the sled assembly. That's why the disc pickup floats freely. It's a linear motor on here. Put some lubricant on here while I'm at it. Let's see if it likes CDRs. Apparently so. Output levels. You can adjust the output level on this. Actually a nice looking CD player. That's a little better. So that's the old belt that came out of it. Getting pretty sloppy. When we look down at the circuitry here, this is the analog filters for the audio outputs. Got some copper shielding between the two, supposedly I guess to cut down any intermodulation between the two of them. Little regulators with little heat sinks on them. Oh, look at that. You know what's happening there? Watch this. I have the magic touch. I'm surprised this thing's actually even playing. My AM transmitter is still running. I bet if I turn it off, that'll go away. Let me turn that off. My body was picking up RF from the, I guess it's around 400 milliwatt transmitter that's over in the corner. They say the signal's fairly strong, and just getting my hand anywhere near here was causing interference. I'm not a big fan of these type of parts. IC19, for example, it's an encapsulated part. I'm not a big fan of those type. Look at this heat sink. So they just took just a clip. That's the type of clip that would normally be used to clip a component to a heat sink, and they've just used that as the heat sink for a regulator. So obviously they don't expect that it's going to produce that much heat, although it is a little bit warm. Not overly warm, but I guess they figure it's better than not having a heat sink at all. But I'm not a fan at all of companies that do that, because if that part ever fails and the part's not available, you're kind of hooped. See, other components here, they're discrete parts. So even if the unit goes out of production, there's a good chance that these are generic parts, and if one was required, one would be available. But when you get into these custom parts, like they've done here, if it's out of production, and units like this normally would only be in production for a couple years, and then they would move on to something else. A high-end player like this doesn't have the longevity of, say, that Sony 2010 shortwave receiver that I just looked at, mine, that was in production for 18 years. These ones here, they're in production for a year or two, and then a different model comes along and they figure out a way to make things cheaper, because these high-end players were not big sellers. So when you've got parts like that, chances are those are just common parts as well, right? And all they've done is they put it on a little circuit board and then poured a bunch of epoxy on it, so you don't know what it is. I'm not a fan of companies that do that. Panasonic did the same thing. That's one of the things I hated about like those AG 1970s, AG 1960s, I think, AG 1970. They did the same thing with their comb filter. They put their comb filter on a little circuit board. They mounted it in a metal can. At least you could get the metal can open, but they put capacitors that leaked on them and they ruined the board. They ate away at the traces on the board. But they weren't the only ones. Sony used to do the same thing. Sony used to have these hybrid modules that they put into they're a little circuit board, and they put them into an orange plastic rectangular little case, and they filled them with epoxy. They potted them. And same thing. Good luck. Once the part's out of production, you're not getting it. So I guess I can throw this one back together. I think this one here is pretty safe to say that this one is fixed. Put all this shielding back on here. There you go, it's back together. Now you know how to change the belt. Mosquitoes are out already. Jeez. On a CDX1030, that's a Yamaha high-end CD player. For those of you that didn't already know that. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.